Welcome back to my movie blog. I've watched more movies recently, so I'm falling behind, so I'm going to start posting more movie blogs to catch up. Not enough to flood my channel, but I want to try to stay up to date. So without a further ado, here's a movie I watched recently, Dream Scenario 2023. I enjoyed it. I know that Nicolas Cage is a meme at this point, and had a resurgence, but I enjoy the roles he takes where he's not over the top or really laying into the Nicolas Cage meme. I prefer Pig or this movie's Nicolas Cage than, say, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent or Willy's Wonderland. But what about this movie? I liked it. Going to this movie, I was unsure what version of Nicolas Cage I was getting, but it was a very grounded movie. I thought that his acting was good and the idea of the movie was captivating. Watching an unknown man thrust into stardom and watching the consequences was very interesting. I also thought the portrayal of dreams was accurate. I've never had dreams about, mushroom hunting, but the realism comes from the way the people move. In the dreams, the people move like they're wading through water. It's not exactly slow-mo, but it is slowed down. I thought it was a neat effect, and I cannot help but think of my own dreams and how I move in them. Sometimes it's normal, but then there are times like running or trying to drive that seem to be always slowed down in a type of slow-mo that I can't control. I'll say that this movie didn't blow me out of the water, but it was still very enjoyable. I'm giving this movie a 7 out of 10. Here's a movie I watched recently, Civil War 2024. I try to catch every Alex Garland movie that comes out. Ex Machina and Annihilation were amazing, and Men was out there. He's a fascinating director, and Civil War took a turn I did not expect. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the movie I expected it to be. This movie follows Kristen Dunst's character and her press gang as they travel across war-torn America. It focused heavily on this group and placed them in crazy scenarios. And that's what stuck out to me in this movie. It's almost like a serial TV show where the cast gets put into different scenarios every new episode. Don't get me wrong, I thought that the different scenes were intense, the gas station, the sniper scenes, Jesse Plemons' scene were all great scenes. It just felt a little disjointed. With that said, this movie was purposely ambiguous about a lot of things. I kept asking myself the motives of these people, wondering which side they were on. I mean, the sniper scene is the perfect example of this, as the guy said, he's shooting at us, we're shooting at him. All that said, I thought Kristen Dunst was okay in this role. Some of her delivery was meh in my opinion, and felt a little wooden. I know she was this hardened photographer that had seen it all, but some of her delivery still felt a little off. I mean, the ending was also striking, though I think some of it was kind of wonky. I'm not trying to spoil it, but all in all, this movie was not what I was expecting, but I still enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Here's a movie I watched recently, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire 2023. It was very forgettable. There had been a lot of buzz about this film, and it was almost immediately panned. At this point, Zack Snyder is not looked at as fondly as he once was. I was never a big fan of his to begin with, but the crowd had really turned on him. All that to say is the hype around this movie was more about hype to trash it than the actual movie itself. But I go into every movie trying to give it a fair shake. There are actors I don't like, directors I don't like, but I try to not let that affect me. I think there are some tendencies in our own life or on YouTube, really any media, to let others influence how we will feel about a movie. Bashing something that is popular to bash and gets attention you want can feel disingenuous. A YouTuber may spend weeks before Rebel Moon has come out, bashing it. What do you think their opinion on the movie is going to be when it comes out? All that to say, I'm not a Zack Snyder guy, but I can be on board for a sci-fi movie. So I watched it, and it was boring. Does Zack Snyder really need to put slow-mo on every dramatic scene? This movie was a movie where the main character goes to these different sci-fi sets, gather a team, and defeat the bad guys. It emulates, Rise of Skywalker in that aspect, and that is a movie you don't want to be associated with. The part of the movie that I would enjoy would have to be kind of the robot character. His character seems interesting, but we don't get enough of him. And honestly, I don't know if I'll watch the sequel, but I probably won't think of this movie again until I do watch the sequel. So I'm giving this one a 3 out of 10. Here's a movie I watched recently, They Cloned Tyrone 2023. Directed by Jewel Taylor, starring John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, and Teyana Paris, I picked this movie randomly while flipping through Netflix, and I'm glad my internal curiosity made me watch this movie. The tone, the feel of this movie was so good, and I love Jamie Foxx. The man is a great performer, and whatever role he is in, I know I'm going to love. The way he commits to a role is fun, and it's engaging and brings me into the movie. John Boyega and Teyana Paris also do a great job. The trio really carry this movie, and they mesh really well together. This movie has this kind of graininess to it, and I like that as an artistic choice because it made the movie feel a little bit more homemade, a little authentic. In my neck of the woods, this movie just kind of slipped past everybody, and I didn't hear a thing about it, which is a shame. It's a really good movie, and I recommend it. I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10.